Cholesterol, the good, the bad and the ugly. 1980s turned out to be the era of cholesterol consciousness. Abnormally high cholesterol was a major risk factor in cardiac disease. It was reported that 1% reduction in bad cholesterol led to 2% reduction in cardiac disease. But some experts opine that high cholesterol levels pose less of a threat. Whom to believe on cholesterol and triglycerides? And then we have HDL, LDL, VLDL and triglycerides. High cholesterol is not a disease or condition but a measurement. Combined with other risk factors, high cholesterol and increase in triglycerides counts raise cardiac disease risk. Lowest risk of heart diseases is associated with serum cholesterol levels less than 180 mg of deciliter. For adults, less than 200 mg per deciliter is desirable. For children and teenagers, less than 180 is the goal. When doctors measure cholesterol, they often do it two ways. First, total cholesterol is measured, all the cholesterol in the blood. Then each of the different lipoproteins in the blood is measured. Together they make up the total cholesterol, lipid profile. Let us start from cholesterol, wax-like substance found throughout the body including blood. Cholesterol is commonly known as fat but actually a closely related substance. It belongs to a class of compounds called sterols. Cholesterol belongs to the steroid family of lipid, fat, compounds. Some of our cholesterol comes from the food we eat, but most, about 80%, is made in the liver in a complex 37-step process. A lipid is any of various organic compounds that are insoluble in water. Lipids are energy-rich organic molecules, which provide energy for different life processes. Lipids include fats, waxes, oils, hormones, phospholipids, steroids and certain components of membranes. Lipids function as energy storage molecules and chemical messengers. Fats are a stored form of energy and are also known as triacylglycerols or triglycerides. Cholesterol is a form of lipids, just as fats are. Nevertheless, as opposed to fat, cholesterol cannot be consumed, sweated or burned for energy. More on cholesterol. What are the different types of cholesterol? Cholesterol is a type of blood fat, and blood fats are known as lipids. Cholesterol and other lipids are carried in the blood attached to proteins, forming tiny parcels known as lipoproteins. So, lipoproteins are lipids plus proteins. Function of lipoproteins is transport of fatty acids, triglycerides, cholesterol to and from target cells in many organs. Fats and lipids are an essential component of the homeostatic function of the human body. Lipids contribute to some of the body's most vital processes. Cholesterol is a fatty substance which is made in the liver. It's found in some foods too. Cholesterol plays a vital role in how your body works. There is cholesterol in every cell in your body, and it's especially important in your brain, nerves and skin. Cholesterol has three main jobs. It's part of the outer layer, or membrane, of all your body cells. It's used to make vitamin D and steroid hormones which keep your bones, teeth and muscles healthy. It's used to make bile, which helps to digest the fats you eat. We all need some cholesterol in our bodies just to keep us ticking over. But having too much can clog up your arteries and lead to health problems in the future. Like any wax or fat, cholesterol does not dissolve in water. So in the blood, cholesterol is carried in an envelope of protein. Cholesterol and another type of blood fat called triglycerides cannot circulate loosely in the blood. So the liver packages them into parcels called lipoproteins. The lipoproteins are then released into the blood and carried around the body to wherever they're needed. Once in the bloodstream, some cholesterol will be returned to the liver and broken down. It's used to make bile acids which are released into the intestines to help with digestion. Bile acids break down the fats in food. A small amount of bile acids will be removed from the body as a waste product in your feces. But most will be absorbed back into the blood, returned to the liver and used again for digestion. To make cholesterol, the body uses the fats we eat, mainly saturated fats, such as lard or butter. Some treatments for high cholesterol work by stopping bile from being absorbed back into the blood. The liver has to take more cholesterol out of the blood to make more bile, lowering your cholesterol levels. What raises cholesterol? Your blood fats, that is your cholesterol and triglycerides, can become raised for a number of reasons. For example, a diet high in saturated fats. Not being physically active enough, so the fats you eat aren't used up for energy. Genetic conditions, which mean the fats aren't processed in the usual way. There are two main types of lipoproteins. When people talk about the different types of cholesterol, they're usually talking about these lipoproteins. LDL cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein. This is often called bad cholesterol, because too much in the blood can lead to health problems. These lipoproteins contain lots of cholesterol. Their job is to deliver cholesterol to the cells where it's needed. But if there's too much LDL cholesterol in your blood, it can build up in the arteries, clogging them up. It sticks to the walls of the arteries that have microscopic tears or rough spots from hypertension, smoking or infections. LDL squeezes through the spaces between endothelial cells until it is inside the wall of the artery. There it reacts with oxygen in a chemical process called oxidation. Oxidized LDL attracts more LDL towards it like a magnet. Macrophages move in to clear the oxidized LDL cholesterol. Instead of cleaning up, they just make it much worse. In the process, they turn into foam cells, fluffy, and then die. They spill their contents inside the artery wall, causing cracks that attract platelets. Platelets secrete chemicals that invite smooth muscle cells that proliferate and form scar tissue. Calcium in the bloodstream covers the whole mess with a hard shell. This is how a plaque is created. This is called an active plaque. Another type of plaque is mostly cholesterol encased in scar tissue. The first plaque can shrink in size, but the later one doesn't. HDL cholesterol, high-density lipoprotein. This is often called good cholesterol because it helps prevent disease. They contain lots of protein, and very little cholesterol. HDL cholesterol's job is to carry cholesterol away from the cells, back to the liver. In the liver, cholesterol can be broken down and removed from the body. HDL also helps to reduce blood clotting and blood vessel constriction. 1% increase in HDL means 3% reduction in heart disease risk. There are other types of lipoproteins too. VLDL, very low-density lipoproteins. These are larger. They carry triglycerides plus some cholesterol from the liver around your body. They contain lots of fat and very little protein. If there is too much VLDL in your blood, fat can be laid down in your artery walls, clogging them up. VLDL is considered bad cholesterol as well, but it mainly carries triglycerides, the most common type of fat in your body. There's no simple, direct way to measure VLDL cholesterol. VLDL cholesterol is usually estimated as a percentage of your triglyceride value. IDL, intermediate density lipoproteins. These lipoproteins also carry cholesterol and triglycerides. They are in fact VLDL lipoproteins, after some of the triglycerides have been taken out of them. They sit between VLDL and LDL cholesterol in terms of how much fat they carry. Chylomicrons, these are the largest lipoprotein. They carry triglycerides from the gut to the liver after a meal. They are broken down in the liver and the fats are repackaged into the other lipoproteins. What are triglycerides? There is another type of blood fat called triglycerides. Triglyceride molecule contains 3 chains of fat, hence the prefix. Instead of protein molecules, they are attached to glycerol, alcohol, molecule. Triglyceride is not cholesterol but a completely different fat. Triglycerides enter the bloodstream after a meal. Some are also made by your liver. Triglycerides are found both in animal fats and plant oils. Liver too produces some of the triglycerides apart from cholesterol. Both alcohol and sugar increases triglyceride production in the liver. Triglycerides. Triglycerides are packaged into lipoproteins along with cholesterol. When they reach the cells throughout your body, the triglycerides are used for energy or stored for later use. A high triglyceride level in your blood should be investigated by your physician. There can be many reasons for a high triglyceride level, and it's important to find out the exact cause. Raised triglycerides can add to your overall risk of developing heart disease. There is little evidence to suggest that triglycerides create deposits in the artery walls. But high triglycerides go hand in hand with low levels of good HDL and high levels of LDL. Studies suggest that high triglyceride levels make blood more ready to form clots. If they're very high, they can cause other serious problems such as pancreatitis. Your triglycerides count is tested when you get a lipid profile check. What is saturated fat? Fats that are tightly packed with no double bonds between the fatty acids are called saturated fats. There are some exceptions, but most are solid at room temperature. Sources of saturated fat include fatty pieces of meat such as beef and lamb, some pork and chicken products, dairy products including cream, whole milk, butter, shortening, and cheese, coconut and palm oils. While it's clear that saturated fats raise blood lipids, including low-density lipoprotein, LDL, cholesterol levels, saturated fats increase certain other heart disease risk factors, such as inflammation. It's unclear whether saturated fats increase the risk for heart disease. A diet high in saturated fat may raise your low-density lipoprotein, LDL, cholesterol levels. High LDL will raise your risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes. The typical American diet is too high in saturated fats. Unsaturated fat. What is unsaturated fat? Unsaturated fats are loosely packed. They tend to be liquid at room temperature. There are two main types of unsaturated fat. 1. Monounsaturated fats. Research shows that consumption of plant-based monounsaturated fats may help lower your risk for cardiovascular disease and overall mortality. Foods that are highest in monounsaturated fats include olive oil, peanut oil, avocados, most nuts, most seeds. 2. Polyunsaturated fats. Your body needs polyunsaturated fats to function effectively. Polyunsaturated fats help with muscle movement and blood clotting. As your body doesn't make this type of fat, you have to get it through your diet. Polyunsaturated fats can be further divided into two types: A, omega-3 and B, omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are beneficial for cardiac health. The best sources of omega-3 fatty acids are fatty fish, such as sardines, tuna, salmon, trout, mackerel, and herring. Ground flax and flaxseed oil, soybeans, oysters, walnuts. Sunflower seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds. There's debate about the inflammatory role of omega-6 fatty acids. Most Americans consume more than enough of them. Consuming too many foods rich in omega-6 fats may increase inflammation in your body. They raise your risk for certain health conditions, including obesity. Omega-6 fatty acids can be found in canola oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, walnut oil, corn oil. Recommended fat intake. What are the recommended levels of fat intake? People need fats, so you don't have to do without them. However, regulatory authorities recommend that you eat saturated fat in moderation. The American Heart Association recommends limiting your intake of saturated fat to less than 6% of your daily calories. That translates to about 120 calories, or about 13 grams per day on a 2,000-calorie daily diet. According to the Cleveland Clinic, total fat intake should be between 20 and 35%. This is equal to 44 to 77 grams of total fat daily on a 2,000-calorie diet. However, research shows that certain higher fat diets, such as the Mediterranean diet and low-carbohydrate diets, are beneficial for overall health. Ultimately, your energy needs, genetics, and lifestyle are the best indicators of your macronutrient needs. Healthy eating starts with a diet rich in whole foods, including sources of healthy fats. like avocados, nuts, seeds, eggs, and olive oil. Just as overconsuming any macronutrient can cause weight gain, eating too many fat-rich foods can cause you to gain weight if the calories aren't accounted for elsewhere in your diet. Having overweight or obesity can raise your risk for heart disease and other chronic health conditions like diabetes. However, fats are an essential part of the diet. Try to choose the right types of fats and to enjoy them in moderation as part of a healthful eating plan. Trans fats are found in two forms: 1. Natural, which found in some animal products. They aren't considered harmful. 2. Artificial, which are hydrogenated vegetable oils. They have serious health consequences. Both observational studies and clinical trials suggest that trans fats significantly increase your risk of heart disease. Trans fats may drive insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, but the results from human studies are mixed. Studies indicate that trans fats increase inflammation, especially in people with excess weight or obesity. Trans fats may damage the inner lining of your blood vessels. Yet, their effect on cancer risk is less clear. Processed food that contains partially hydrogenated vegetable oil is the richest source of trans fat in the modern diet. Regulators have lately started to limit them. Kindly read the labels, a helpful step to minimize your trans fat intake. The optimal option is to cut processed foods out of your routine entirely.